Now in this video I'm talking about the 6 main reasons I've seen stack Morby method deals fall apart, and of course I'm going to tell you how to solve each one of them. I can guarantee that after you watch this video, the chances of those deals to fall apart is going to be pretty low. So let's start with reason number 1. I'm going to be using these fun infographics from the video game Cuphead. I just love the video game. So reason number 1, not understanding the money flow. So for me, this is the foundation of the stack method. Okay, so there are two formulas that I want to show you. The first formula is what I like to call the equity check formula. What is the formula? As you can see here, LTV must be higher than down payment to seller, mortgage balance, closing cost, and transactional lending fees. Use this to verify if there is enough equity to make the deal possible. So before you even underwrite, I want you to use this formula. So a couple of recommendations. If the property that you are looking at is a residential property, from single family to fourplex, I like for you to start with an LTV of 70%. If you are working on residential properties, but they are in a rural area, or RV parks, mobile home parks, hotels, land deals, big multifamily, start at 60% LTV. So based on the property that you're looking at, use that LTV to be like your limit and apply it to the formula that I just showed to you. So this formula is going to tell you, of course, when I say it's going to work as a stack method, for formula number 1, what that means is it's going to work for the first leg of a transaction. Or in other words, for you to check if you are not going to come out of pocket at closing. Okay? So this is for formula number 1. Now, the second formula that I want to show you, let's say that formula works. Okay, perfect. Based on this formula again, and based on the terms that you're negotiating with the seller finance terms, use this formula, the cashback formula. What is the formula? Seller finance must be higher than DSCR down payment plus closing costs and transactional lending fees. Use this to calculate the exact cash amount you will receive at closing. Okay, so for example, if you start at LTV at 70%, that is going to mean the DSCR down payment is going to be 30%. Plus closing cost. Now for both formulas, I like to use, if you are direct to seller or off market, I like you to use 5%. And if there are agents involved on the transaction, use 10%. Okay, that is just to approximate numbers. That is just a starting point for these formulas, if that makes sense. And transactional lending fees, for example, right now the market is charging, for example, what I charge for transactional lending fees, for example, for bringing the DSCR down payment and closing costs, I charge 2.5% of that amount. So the difference between the seller finance and all these three things is going to be your cashback at closing. So very important, when you do the stack method, normally you want to get paid something at closing. You can use that money, the cashback, for renovations, for closing costs, holding costs, and for reserves to have it for the property. Okay, so that's it. This is not reason number 1. If you use these formulas and both look good, now good to go. Now the next question is, okay, cashback looks good, there is enough equity for this to do the stack method. Now the next question is, and this is actually the second reason deals fall apart, bad underwriting. What I like to call performance, right? You want to make sure that after doing this strategy, the stack method, you want to cash flow. You want cash flow. You want to buy cash flow in properties as an investor, of course. So everyone chases the cashback, but nobody checks the cash flow. So what I want to say is a lot of people get too focused on the cashback, which is actually pretty cool. I get it. But they forget about the underwriting. So you want to make sure that you cash flow again after you do this strategy. So just be careful, then you're bored. Main payments that you will have, the DSCR loan payment, as of today, April 4th, I believe. As of today of 2026, I like for you to start with numbers with an interest rate of 7% for residential properties. For big multifamily or commercial, do 9%. Again, just to start with those numbers, to use conservative numbers. So you will have that main payment, the DSCR payment, and the seller finance payment. So it's going to be based on how good you are negotiating to come up with that seller finance payment. Okay, so those are the big two payments that you will have. The other additional expenses that a lot of people miss: taxes and insurance. Try to get the annual taxes and insurance, and try to get it every single month, so divide it by 12. I like to put 10% for reserves, as you can see here, 10% for vacancy, 10% for property management, and any additional expenses depending on the property type. So if it's like big multifamily, RV parks, mobile home parks, hotels, there are more expenses than with residential properties. So of course, rental income must be higher than all of the above, and that is your cash flow. That is what keeps you in the game. Okay, so that is reason number 2. Just be careful with the underwriting. Now let's move on to reason number 3. Seller misunderstanding. So this is what happens a ton. We get it under contract. I help these investors or wholesalers with the contracts. We have everything for funding. And then before closing, the seller notices that the seller finance portion is going to be in second position. So a lot of times investors don't tell that to the seller why it's in second position, because remember, you're gonna get a DSCR loan, an investor loan, that is in first position, and the seller finance in second position. So not a lot of times people or investors tell sellers. Of course, don't do that. Reason number 3 of deals falling apart. And so of course the seller notices and they say, oh, hey, you didn't tell me, you know what, I don't like this, you didn't tell me that I'm gonna be in second position. So actually the problem is not the seller being in second position, the problem is you not telling the seller upfront, or the agent, of course. So just make sure that you tell how the transaction works, and you tell that upfront, and wait for them to see how they react and what they think about it. Okay, how does it work? Why second position? Hey, if they really don't want to be in second position, there is another way to structure the deal where the seller can be on the LLC. That is another option. But just make sure that you tell everyone involved on the transaction, whether the attorney, the agent, the seller, they are going to be in second position. That is number 3. The fix, of course, no surprises. Reason number 4 actually is down below right here. Don't look at number 5. Look number 4. Seller at investor sellers that are on board with everything. They do a deal with you, perfectly fine, but you will run across sellers that they want their agent to be involved, they want their attorney to be involved. So a lot of times it's just a reality. I would say 90% of real estate attorneys out there haven't done an stack method transaction before. They are going to tell you they have done it or they are familiar with it, but the reality is that they just haven't done it. So number 1, either you answer all their questions, all their concerns. You as the buyer, you are okay with all the protections they want to put for the seller, and you're okay with that. Perfect. If you seem to not have an idea on how to overcome those questions or how to answer those questions, that's your decision. Okay. Something that I'm gonna mention in the end, but that is actually another way that we can partner up on these transactions. If you ever have an agent, seller, or an attorney that wants to know more about it, the mechanics, how this works, and you need help explaining that, happy to do that for you, and we can partner up that way as well. So that is reason number 4. Of course, sometimes when attorneys get involved, sometimes they kill the deal, and that just happens. Okay. Reason number 5, Title company confusion. So let me read just the infographic here, phone infographic here. Wrong title company, 1 transaction, hot problems, the fix, 2 transactions. Transaction 1, normal close, a cash transaction. Transaction number 2, a seller carryback transaction. So what does this mean? A lot of 99% of title companies are gonna tell you, yeah, we can do it. Well, when it's time to close, when we give the instructions to the title company on how to disperse the money, the escrow holdback, all of that stuff, what do you mean with that? I don't know they don't know how to do it. A lot of times, title companies or closing attorneys want to do this transaction as just one transaction. Remember, on the stack Morby method, there are 2 transactions happening, as explained there. A normal transaction, which is a cash transaction, that one closes, escrow holdback, and then the seller finance portion gets recorded. So make sure that you work with the right title company. That is something I already have a list of title companies we can use for these transactions. So just make sure that you're working with the right title company, because again, they're gonna tell you they can do it, and then when it's time to close, and I don't know why they do it at the time of closing or one day before, and they don't know how to do it. So that is reason number 5. Reason number 6, and this is what I like to call the final boss. Okay, so issue number 1, lender rules, lender issues is reason number 6. Issue number 2 for lenders, failed appraisal. This is a big one. Issue number 3, LTV too low. Issue number 4, funding requirements. The fix, vet your lender early. Ask the right questions up front. Never misrepresent the deal. So I'm going to explain one of each of these issues. Lender rules. Each lender will have their own. It kind of goes together with the funding requirements. Each lender will have their own lending requirements. Of course, the ones that I pay attention on are their seasoning and sourcing requirements. Okay, so based on those requirements, that's how we come up with a plan to satisfy those requirements and get the deal done. So when you tell me, hey, what do we gotta do to satisfy the lender? Hey, ideally, we use my preferred list of lenders to use for these transactions. Why? Because they are already aware of how these transactions work. And another thing is that they are okay with being, for example, in second position or the LLC structure. They just know about this transaction, and we have closed transactions with them. And to explain issue number 2, failed appraisal. So this is a big one. A lot of times, let's say that you're buying a property for $500,000, okay? And you are like, hey, everything looks good. You check both formulas, the equity check and the cashback formula. They look good, but sometimes the offer that you're negotiating with the seller is too high. And when the lender does the appraisal comes low. Let's say it comes at $400,000 as its value, or the appraisal result. That kills the deal. Either you go back to the seller to renegotiate the entire deal, or if the seller is not open to that, you will have to come up with the difference. So depending on the equity they have, or if the seller is open to that, it might kill the transaction. So one of the tips that I want to share with you when you are doing these deals with the seller, you can say, hey seller, I'm open to put on the contract, I'm open to giving you that purchase price that you want, the $500,000, but as soon as the appraisal comes in lower, that is gonna be the final purchase price of the property. So you can say it like purchase price to be $500,000 or the appraisal value on the contract. So that is some provisions that I can help you with on the contracts, but of course the seller needs to be open to that. If you tell the seller upfront, they are gonna be okay with that. I can tell you that. Issue number 3, LTV too low. This is something that a lot of time lenders do. Again, a couple of weeks or 1 week before closing, they tell you, yeah, we can do 75% LTV or 80% LTV, and then they change the LTV. Of course, I don't know why they do that or why they change their mind. I mean, that is just a red flag. Of course, I don't like that. But sometimes that happens. So if the numbers are getting too tight, that's why I like for you to start at 70% and then 60% depending on the area or the property. So you have like because that is the average of investors getting as far as LTV. But if you need to get 75 or 80% to get the deal done, I don't suggest it because you might not get it, or the lender might change the LTV last minute. So yeah, no, that happens a lot of times, and that's what gets the deal to fall apart. And that is all, guys. So that is all the reasons. Those are the main reasons I've seen deals fall apart on Morby. Maybe there are like a couple of there that I'm not adding in here, although these are the main ones. So if you can check on all of these 6 things, I mean, the likelihood of these deals to fall apart is going to be insanely low. Now, another suggestion. Let me talk about all the ways that I can help you with these transactions. Let me just zoom it out a little bit. There you go. Like this. So, as you can see, how Tonyo helps you with the stack Morby method. Number 1, run the numbers, cashback, underwriting, cash flow. So hey, every time you got a seller open to seller finance, you want to see what it would look like if you do the stack Morby method, send me a message on where you found me, Instagram, Facebook, on a WhatsApp group, right? And let's talk about it. Let's jump on a Zoom and run numbers. I can introduce you as a buyer, or if you're wholesaling, I can introduce your buyers with the lenders to work with. Of course, if we work together. DSCR lender introductions for almost any asset type. Single family residence, multifamily, mobile home parks, RV parks, hotels, I have them as well. Land deals. I can also help with contracts and TC support. Transactional funding, as you can see, bringing the DSCR down payment and closing cost. And weekly deal reviews. So, if you don't know, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Mountain Time, MT time, I do the Morby stack method underwriting Zooms. So if you want to get the link to register for those Zooms, I mean, make a comment on this YouTube video, like it, and let me know that you have done that, and happy to share that link to you. So that is all. These are all the ways that I can help you. Now, of course, here's what I can tell you. If we work together on these transactions, and of course, if I help you from the very beginning, you use my lenders, you use my title company, we use my contracts. I mean, 90 to not say 100%, 99% we are gonna get the deal done. Of course, there are a couple of things that I don't have control of. For example, the appraisals, the lenders changing their mind with the LTV, all of those things. But of course, by all these other things, we can guarantee we can get the deal done and have a smooth closing, of course. So all the ways that I can help. Now, I just want to mention I also made a mini series on all my social. Also, if you go to my YouTube shorts and post, you also will see a mini series on the Morby method. This is a huge one. Look, I'm also using the Cuphead infographics. I mean, really nice. I talk about pretty much everything in here. On my Instagram, you can also watch them on my in TikTok, LinkedIn. Of course, I want to show you some credibility, of course. So in the last 90 days, I think right now I have 38 submissions, but in the last 90 days, I've got 34, I'm going to tell you the ones that I have here. 34 submissions, $23 million of money requested. Insane, right? And deal types, I'm not only doing a stack Morby method deals, I'm also doing double closings, EMDs. But look, right now I have 24 deals. I should have put that picture, but of course, just to show you some credibility from me that I'm actively working on these transactions. And that's it, guys. If this video was valuable, I would be really happy if you can give me a like, subscribe. I want to be making these videos at least 1 or 2 a week, and about the stack method, Morby method, transactional funding, and many other things.